This video is going to be a look at Brian Branch's play in the Lions' domination of the Falcons' offense. And when I say domination, go look at the stats. That held them to less than 200 total yards. Brian Branch played an unbelievable game. He was just brilliant. And this is the second game in 3 weeks in the NFL where he has been, if not the best defensive player on the field, one of them. He was brilliant against the Falcons. And give the Falcons credit, they're a physical football team. To me, this looks like a fork in the road moment for this Lions defense, if you ask me. But it really shouldn't surprise us about Branch. It shouldn't surprise us at all that he was leading the charge in that defense, rebounding and playing well. Because he's a battle-tested, superb football player. He can cover anywhere. You're going to see some reps of him covering Kyle Pitts and blanketing Drake London a couple of times from Sunday. He can tackle. We all know that. He's very smart. Really, he's beyond smart. He's ahead of the game. I'm going to show you one of his plays in zone coverage that just illustrates how fun he is to watch and how fun it will be to coach a guy like this, somebody who it looks like you can teach him something and he just does it. He's excellent in pattern read coverages. It looked to me like he was in the Lions' base defense on Sunday, which I think is an interesting development. Every defense needs a nickel DB like Brian Branch, and when they have the whole DB core there, he's able to play the nickel. But I wonder if they're going to keep him on the base defense more. I'm talking about their base 3-4. He's like a precision weapon, except he's one that can do anything, and he can show up anywhere at any time. Let's get to the film. It's going to be a 2nd and 8 on the Falcons' third possession, and Branch is in coverage against Pitts. This is one of the only times on Sunday where I saw him get beat. I'm showing you this play, however, because watch how he defends it later. It's against Drake London later, but Pitts gives him an outside pressure cut. It's man, and he beats him to the inside. Shouldn't surprise us, right? Kyle Pitts is a talented player. Desmond Ritter's been accurate throwing the football when he has time. In this case, it was a quick slant over the middle, 10-yard gain. Same possession, 1st and 10. He's going to get the tackle for loss on Bijan Robinson. He's just a natural football player in terms of where to fit, where to read, what to read, and how to react to it. I should say he looks natural. I'm sure that there's things that are taught here. Flow to him, attack. He's used to play in the nickel position at Alabama. Flow to him. And when I say flow to him, I mean, everyone moving in your direction, come downhill right now because you're the force player. You're the guy that's got to knock everything back inside. He goes around Jonnu Smith's attempted block and gets a tackle for loss. They really made it difficult for Bijan Robinson, who's a super talented running back. Same possession, 3rd and 14. This is the one that I'm talking about. Look at the route that Drake London runs. Very similar to what Pitts ran on the first play I showed you. In the slot left, you start off screen on this play, Branch does. You don't see him initially. I'll show it to you again. It's a slant, same route, same timing, man coverage. He goes underneath and knocks it down. Now, he knows he's got to drop safety to his side, possibly to help him out. But this is what Brian Branch does. He puts plays on film doing multiple things. He's a very unique player, if you ask me, because he's equally good at coverage and man, coverage and zone, tackling. He seems to recognize things pre-snap, if you ask me. The Falcons had to settle for a field goal on that possession. This is the 4th possession, and this is a brilliant job of zone coverage when you've been fooled. You've gotten the wrong read. We used to call it wrong read, right read. Wrong read is you thought it was run, you moved in one direction, usually downhill, and then you've got to adjust to that. So you should be at a certain width and a certain depth. If you got the right read, you get there quicker. This is the wrong read. You got to turn your back and you got to get to your spot. In this case, he seems to be trailing and reading Pitts, and a beautiful pass deflected. Look, his standards are so high, it looks like Branch is pissed off he didn't get the interception. I mean, this is an amazing play, period. But this guy looks like he's mad at himself for not getting the interception. I think that's the type of play that is the difference in a drive starting with a 14-yard gain or a drive starting with an incomplete pass and you're on 2nd and 10 as an offense. That Brian Branch isn't going to just make splash plays. The pick 6 against the Chiefs. Tackles for loss against Bijan Robinson. Yeah, he did have 2 penalties in this game, one of which I think is a really questionable one. I'll show you that one too in a minute. I think he's going to make 100 plays like this a year. Maybe not 100, maybe 60, where he's in the right place at the right time. And because of his instincts, because of his trusting his reads and his athletic ability, he's going to be able to make a play like this and force a defense to be minus 14 in yardage. It doesn't show up as a 14-yard loss, but if that's a catch, it's a 14 or 15-yard gain. As it stands, it's an incomplete pass. 2nd and 10 on the next play. I think Brian Branch's impact is potentially as big as any player on this Lions team other than Jared Goff. The Falcons had to punt 3 plays later, or 2 plays later, and then the Lions grabbed a 13-3 lead on the ensuing possession. His presence is all over the place. This is his first penalty. This is early 3rd quarter. He's on the left side of the field, the downside of the screen. I just spot shadowed him. It's a run for Bijan Robinson up to the top side. I think it's going to be like a 7 or 8 yard gain. I guess there's a horse collar there. I mean, I don't know what the definition of a horse collar is. How low can you grab on the jersey where it's legal? His hand may not have been in that position, so it may be a horse collar. Fine, no problem. But there has to be a point at which you can grab lower on the jersey and pull someone down and not be penalized for it. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is how strong he is. Now, this also seems to be Alex Anzalone underneath here with Bijan Robinson's feet all tangled up. But Bijan Robinson was able to break tackles often in his college career, and he's done it in the NFL. The strength that Branch has, he's the complete package, if you ask me. Even though that's a penalty, I think that's a play that illustrates the skills that he has, the physical gifts. 3 plays later, another run stop. He's almost playing like 5'3" inside linebacker here. I'll show you the look. This is their base defense. You see a single high safety look. So what looks like it could turn into cover 3 or maybe man free. You've got an outside linebacker, edge player. Unique look that the Lions showed, I thought. This is Jack Campbell down here at the bottom side of the screen, lined up at outside linebacker. They did this with Campbell, and they did this with Derek Barnes, and I thought those guys showed some ability there. I guess they're trying to make up for the loss of James Houston in the 4th. And I thought Charles Harris was injured as well, but he played yesterday and he got a sack. So in any case, downhill read. Branch fits it basically like an inside linebacker, a sure tackle on Tyler Algier, who is a load to try to tackle. I mean, he broke 2 tackles yesterday on the same play from 2 different Lions. Branch is everything that you could want in a safety in any version of the NFL, 1950s, 1990s, or 2023. Mid-3rd quarter, this is going to be a scramble by Ritter. And in case you lost him, Branch is up here at the top side of the screen. And what I love about him is he's willing to make this tackle. There's so many people that would hesitate to tackle the quarterback near the sideline. It makes sense. You don't want to draw a penalty. You certainly don't want to get fined. I did think that it was interesting, his comment, apparently, that he said after the game about the penalty on Bijan Robinson, which I don't think I have that play in this list. Look at the number of people he covered in this game and the number of people he tackled. If you could, I don't know how you could show that data, like a hit chart or something. Players that he tackled, players that he covered, and where he made plays on the field. I feel like Brian Branch would be everywhere on the field. He may be the player with the most widespread impact in terms of how many people, different players he tackles, how many different players he covers in a single game. And if you were to somehow be able to overlay that over top of the locations on the field where he did those things. Another run by Algier. And again, he's on the field on the base defense. And Jack Campbell is at outside linebacker again. Jerry Jacobs, and I think that's McNeil. You know, they get a hand on Algier. Algier, like I said, is a load. He's able to tackle it, or he's able to get through the tackle. This tackle is going to be made about the 40. Look at the distance that Brian Branch covers. Now, Algier ends up, having to bounce this. So some other guys, tried to fill there and not let him just run downhill. But I just think you see that he's not just a nickel safety, right? I mean, he's lining up at 2 high safety here, getting involved with the run play. He's one of my favorite players to watch film of. And the other one, I get to do a video on here in a little while, is Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens. He also had a ridiculous game in the Ravens' loss to the Colts on Sunday. Both of these guys can impact the game all over the field and in multiple types of play concepts, be it run concepts, be it pass concepts. The Lions had a great draft. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, great picks. Hendon Hooker, really smart pick, even though you're not going to see him maybe at all in 2023. But this guy right here may be the best pick that they've had because of the widespread influence that he has, and also his ability to get downhill on things immediately, close distance at 10, 12, 13 yards away, where maybe other players would arrive 0.8 seconds later or a second and a half later. 2 more plays, mid fourth quarter. This is kind of like ho-hum for Brian Branch at this point. It's a tackle for loss on Kyle Pitts, super talented athlete. And Brian Branch just looks like he's done this 1,000 times before. Oh, defeat the blocker of the number 2 receiver, whether it's a tight end, or a receiver or a fullback. Defeat the blocker out in space to the outside because you're the force player. Oh, you're getting held. Doesn't matter. Tackle for loss on Kyle Pitts. He's a sure tackler. Everything about Brian Branch is done the right way. He may have shown up to the University of Alabama like this, but he's also had some unbelievable coaching. And the Lions are the beneficiary. If you ask me, last one, another tackle on Bijan Robinson, 1 yard. He kind of like goes around blocking schemes. I'm giving you the all 22 angle for most of these, so forgive me if you want the end zone angle for someone, but he kind of like goes around blocking schemes and defeats them as the force player, which a lot of times the force player forces the ball inside, but doesn't make the tackle. Oh, he'll make the tackle too. Man, if you're a Lions fan and you watch this video this long, first of all, thank you. Second of all, tell me if you share the excitement watching this dude that I do. I mean, in my limited experience coaching football and being around the game, this guy does everything well for a nickel defender against the run and the pass, and then they're lining him up in their base defense this week, accounting for the loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they somehow look even more dominant against the run, which they've been fantastic against the run this year. I think 216 yards rushing allowed in 3 games, so an average of 72 per game. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you guys think of Brian Branch's play in week 3 against the Falcons. Everyone played well on defense, don't get me wrong. I think Aaron Glenn did a great job. Having a plan, the guys went and executed it. They stone cold shut down the run, 20 carries for 44 yards overall. I think Brian Branch is the guy for me right now that looks like he leads that charge on a weekly basis. If you can get Brian Branch to the point of attack, where the football is against the run or the pass, good things are going to happen to the Lions. Great draft pick, great win for them, and a great job on defense by everybody involved. You guys let me know what you think of the video and how I broke down the plays in the comment section. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this content, enjoy this film study look at Brian Branch, please consider grabbing a link to this content, sharing it out on social media to help this video get more reach.